Posted, went to my shower, came back, and I'm like, oh, it got 5K views. Oh, cool. And then I started getting ready for bed, and then I saw 23K, and I'm like, oh shit, this is going hard. Like, this is growing. And then next thing you know, I had work the next day at 8 a.m. Next thing you know, I see 100K, and I'm like, what? That was so fast. And then I kept getting comments and comments, and then people were going to YouTube to see the song because I dropped it on YouTube, and the song on YouTube was growing, and I'm like, and then I kept buzzing bzz, 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 all night till like 4 a.m. and I'm like, what? This is going viral. I went to sleep, woke up the next day, 1 million. I'm like, I lost my shit. Yeah, that's the next thing you know. I'm at the gym. I get a snap from my friend. He's like, yo, bro, Charlie D'Amelio used your song, and I'm like, no, that's impossible. I go check. I see the freaking song, and I'm like, how? I lost it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is the podcast where you can hear the life stories behind the people on social media. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly. As always, today's podcast is powered by TRUFAN. And before we get into today's conversation with Tiagz, there's a couple things that we need to go over first. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to leave us a positive rating and review, share this episode with a friend, and subscribe to the show. Put up brand new interviews every single Monday, and a brand new takeaways episode is an audio exclusive where I sit down and break down the most recent podcast episode of the week every single Thursday. And now today on the podcast, we are joined by Tiago Garcia Arenas, better known as Tiagz, also called and referred to as Tiago. And he's the man behind some of the most popular songs on TikTok, including They Call Me Tiago, My Heart Went Oops, Muffins in the Freezer, and more. His music has collected over 5 billion streams. That's with a B, not an M. Over 5 billion streams across streaming platforms. And I'm very excited to have you on the podcast today. Tiagz, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, man. And where I want to start today, I want to go back to the beginning. So I know everyone asks you about your childhood because you lived a lot of different places.
Yes.
So can you kind of break it down for me? Were you born in Ottawa, moved to Belgium, moved to, was it Venezuela, and then back to Ottawa? Is that the journey?
So I was born Ottawa, lived there for 9 years, and at the age of 9, my dad got a job in Belgium, Europe, and then we all had to move. Then we moved, lived in Belgium for 9 years till the age of I believe 16 or something like that. Lived in Belgium for 9 years. We had to move back to Venezuela, and then from Venezuela at the age of 18, we went back to Ottawa, Canada, and then I've been living here.
Yeah. So I kind of relate to that to some degree. I didn't move as far as you did, but when I was 9, I was born in Ottawa, grew up in Ottawa. When I was 9, I moved to Manitoba. And so I lived in Manitoba till from 9 to 18. And then I came back to Ottawa when I turned 18. So it's always that question of like, are you from Ottawa? It's always such a tough question to answer. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, but no, like, you know what I mean? Because like when you're in high school, it's like such formative years, you know what I mean? And like when you're a kid, you don't always remember those early years. So it's like in your mind, you grew up more somewhere else, but you're from Ottawa and you're back here now. So I definitely relate to that a little bit. And so how does that then impact you growing up? You know what I mean? Having to move, like being the new kid in school is one thing, but being the new kid in school in a country where you don't speak the language is probably even harder.
I think it made me the person that I am today because, you know, I had to go through challenges where I came in a scenario where I didn't know anybody, everybody knew everybody, and I had to figure out like how can I get from here to be, you know, I guess accepted in some sort of way. So that's what got me into doing dance at first, because that was a way of me, you know, being like, whoa, that's so cool, I want to be part of that. So that's really why I think it's not a downside, but it's more of a plus being in that situation because I tend to find the things that I'm doing right now. So yeah,
it pushes you out of your comfort zone a little bit.
It does, and it gets easier. You know, if I'm ever gonna go somewhere else, it's gonna be easy for me. Like for example, we went to LA not too long ago, and I feel like me and my boy, we had an ease in connecting with people, and that was like something that I already trained, like, you know. So yeah.
So with that getting easier now, what are you doing to get out of your comfort zone? Because like I'm of the belief that your comfort zone is always expanding, kind of like you said, how it gets easier. That's because your comfort zone expands. But because it's expanding, that means to get out of it, it becomes harder and harder.
I agree.
So like, what are you doing now that's pushing you out of
now, before, funny thing that a lot of people might not know, I used to go to, you know, I was very shy, and what I would do before the music and all that, I would go to a mall with a friend, and I just approach the most people possible, get rejected, approach girls, talk to girls, get rejected, rejected, rejected. And that was me really pushing out of my comfort zone. Now I'm getting out of my comfort zone is whenever I feel like doing something, I do it. So it didn't become like, oh, let me try to find something to get out of my comfort zone. Now everything became like an automatic pilot, and everything is like, if I want to do something, even though it can be scary, I'm gonna do it. And that's how I work now.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you said so dance back in the day was like something you did to kind of like quote unquote to get accepted when you moved, right? Like that was part of the reason.
It was more, I wanted to be like cool because it was like the cool kids were dancers. So I was like, yo, I want to be cool because I was never really like noticed. Like I'd walk in the hallway and people were like, you know, so dance was definitely something that got me there.
So when was that switch then from like wanting to do dance in the beginning because it's what the cool kids did to wanting to do dance because it's something you love to do?
So back in the day, there was a trend called the jerkin dance, and everybody was like, you know, new boys, you're a jerk. That was like the thing. And it was a trend. Everybody was doing it. And then I was getting into it, but then the trend died down. Everybody stopped. But I wanted to continue because I just got caught an attachment with it and just went on. And then I became better and better, better, better. Yeah.
And so Kid Bad Machine, was that your name?
Kid Bad Machine. Yes. Damn, you remember.
And then the original YouTube was YMCMBTG.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, I just put that because everybody was talking about YMCMB at that time. Yeah.
So when did you start going by Tiagz?
Tiagz. So that's a funny story. I was a dancer in Belgium, and I was getting a little bit popular in like the little city that I was living, and then we had a crew called Crazy Inc. So we formed like a little dance crew, and then one of the crew members came up to me. He's like, "Bro," like randomly, he was like, "Bro, why don't you call yourself Tiagz?" And I'm like, Tiagz? Why would I call myself Tiagz? What? It's like, yeah, bro, like Tiagz, like that sounds pretty fire. And then since that day, people been calling me Tiagz. And then when I started making music, I felt like that was like, what other name am I gonna put? So I put Tiagz, and now Tiagz is Tiagz. Yeah.
So how else did Belgium impact you growing up? You know what I mean? Like obviously dance is such a big part, but like what other impacts or what carries with you today that you learned from Belgium? We've talked about the dance. We've talked about being comfortable in situations where most people wouldn't be. What are some other things that you kind of picked up just living over there?
Funny thing, I think it's mostly like not a, like, you know how pain makes you stronger? Well, me leaving the country and removing everything, like all my friends, all the environment, that was super hard for me because I was just like, damn, like I'm losing all my friends. I'm going to somewhere I don't even know, like what? But what I realized, it actually was way better because I was in an environment where, you know, there's a lot of parties and blah, 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 blah. And I was stuck in that, right? But as soon as I got out, it got me to be a better person. I started training like every day. I started working out, lifting weights. So also my workout, my discipline. I think most importantly, what changed from there and what I caught from there was my discipline from getting out of that zone and getting in a new environment. And then I realized the environment that we're in really affects our mental health or discipline.
You're a product of the people you surround yourself with.
Exactly. Yes.
And so what was Venezuela like? Because I feel like whenever I like in researching and stuff, when people ask you about growing up, it's always like Belgium, that's where I started dancing. And then it's like I lived in Venezuela and then back to Ottawa. But like I never hear anybody really dive into your time in Venezuela. So what was that like?
Yeah. It was rough. It was cool because I saw my family, but it was rough because it's a place where it's hard to live right now because the whole situation in Venezuela is like a little bit effed up right now. So you know, just going out, it's dangerous because like, you know, someone can come and just pull a gun and be like, yo, give me your stuff. So I had to, you know, learn how to walk. Like I'd wear a hat, dress up gangster, and then just walk, and nobody would talk to me. So I did a good job on that. And being in Venezuela taught me discipline. You know, I had nothing. Like I also was watching YouTube videos and searching how to talk to people, how to overcome fear, how to get along with people, like really mental stuff that I needed to learn how to make, you know, these friends, you know, like search for people that dance, you know, really networking. Because I feel like God somehow put me in like in this island, in this jungle, and told me, okay, now try to figure out how to survive and, you know, be within society. So yeah, that's what happened.
Some of those early YouTubers you watched, was Simple Pickup one of them?
Simple Pickup was one, yes, and there was another one. It was like a French dude. He was like talking about like psychology and like overcoming fear, like learning how to overcome fear. But Simple Pickup was the main one that put me to go to a mall and just fucking just talk to girls and shit.
I was talking about Simple Pickup with someone recently. Like they
Oh,
were like,
really?
yeah, because
Damn.
they like helped pioneer to an extent like the digital product game. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, they had like their own course and stuff. Like before
Yeah.
everyone had their own course. So
Yeah.
it's just I remember watching them back in the day. It was probably around. I think we're the same age, so
Yeah,
probably around the same
maybe.
time.
Damn.
So yeah, I was just curious. I was a shot in the dark. I didn't know if they'd be one of them, but I
No,
figured if
Simple
like
Pickup. Yeah,
yeah.
that was the main one. And I also learned like recently a lot of stuff from them. Like they talk about the remix strategy, like how everything is innovation, like grabbing something that's already something and then innovating. And I was like, oh, that's sick.
Yeah. And so you came back to Canada. You said it was 18.
I was 18. Yeah.
Was going to university, college? Were you going at the time or
No. I had to actually finish my last because I had one more year of high school, and then you know my parents put me in high school for my last year, and yeah, and after that I was like, yo, I can't do it anymore.
Never
much.
thought. And so now that you already knew how to dance and you were good at dancing, did that make kind of the transition a little bit easier in finding kind of circles for you to hang out in because you had
Definitely.
something you could relate to?
Yeah, not really relate to, but like something that I can be like, oh damn, he's a dancer, you know, like going to the high school, actually talking about that. I spent 4 days by myself, no friends. I came out of the high school, then a random dude, he's like the president of the school, is telling me like, hey bro, are you new? And I'm like, yeah, oh, okay, cool, you know, you should come, there's a dance battle tomorrow, randomly. And I'm like, what, a dance battle? And he's like, yeah, there's a dance battle at noon. You should pull up, you know, if you got moves. And I'm like, yo, yeah, I got moves. And then the next day, I pulled up to the battle. Went crazy. There's like footage about it. Like it went crazy. I did crazy stuff. And then next thing you know, I was the topic of the school. Like this new guy out of the nowhere freaking came. So it definitely helped.
Definitely helped. And like as a dancer growing up, like was dance at the time, like this was before you're making music.
Yeah.
Was like, did you want to be a dancer full time? Like was
Yeah,
that
dancer. I want to be like, but the weird thing is like a lot of people have the dream of being, you know, oh, I want to dance for Chris Brown, oh, I want to dance for Beyonce, but me, it was never that. I wanted to be the main, like I wanted to have the spotlight as a dancer. I want to be a dancer, but I wanted people to see me as the way people see The Rock, the way people see Chris Brown and all these people. That was my focus.
I mean, maybe not now, but even at the time, like, was that really a possibility? Like, were there any dancers like that who had that spotlight on them that you could like map to? Because I feel like when you think of dancers, you often think of doing it full time as a background dancer for someone. Yeah. So like, who are those people you were looking to in the dance world that were the center of attention, that had the spotlight?
There were like, you know, we have Fiction. Fiction is like, you know, super big in the dance scene, but to the level of getting to like The Rock, I don't know. But now with TikTok, I feel like it's changing now. Like, you know, Charlie D'Amelio, she's like, what? You know, so I definitely see it now coming, which is cool.
Yeah, no, that was actually perfect. That was my next question: how TikTok has impacted dance. And Charlie was the
crazy. Now it's cool to be a dancer. It's cool if you do this, you're cool now. You know. But yeah, no, it's definitely sick.
Is it also tough though when it's like you spent so many years working at your craft as a dancer, and now all you have to do is like this on TikTok, and you have like 3 million followers? Like, is that tough for you?
Honestly, no, because I understand, I respect the market. Like the market is the market, you know, like Gary Vee says, and I can't put my own pride or ego, whatever, and be like, damn, like what am I gonna do? Like sit in my couch and be like, can't believe it, you know, like I'll use those moves and I'll incorporate them in any way, and yeah, the market's a market.
That's a good mindset. You know, it's controlling what you can control.
Exactly, you know, and you know, this might be hot now, but maybe, you know, in 5 years, and I stick to like Crump per se, a lot of people don't, maybe Crump is going to be the hottest thing in 3 years. You never know. So
And like with dance, kind of back to you wanting it to be the main thing before you got into music, you pursued it pretty far. Like I know you're on World of Dance.
Yeah,
And so you think you can dance almost, but you couldn't get your
almost.
visa, right? That
Yeah, I
was the
couldn't
problem.
go. Yeah.
So what's it like then? Because that's pretty close to like being this at World of Dance. Like the dance is the main attraction. So like,
Yeah.
how cool is that to be in that environment?
It was really cool. It was definitely a crazy experience, but because it was World of Dance Toronto, I feel like after I did that, there was nothing that was following. Like I didn't have anyone say like, "Hey, we'd like to invite you to Dallas, World of Dance Dallas," or things like that. So it was definitely difficult, I guess.
And there's kind of that lull then, right? You know what I mean? Like World of Dance must have been like such a high. Like for the example that I always give people is like when I went to New York, like we talked about before, I got into Gary's office and everything was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
crazy trip. And then I came back and I was just in Ottawa recording interviews on Zoom, and I was like, there's like that lull, you know what I mean? Like you had that
Right?
high of that thing.
We
and-
literally came back from LA. We had the same exact low. I was sleeping till like 4 p.m. just like why am what am I doing here? Literally. But I feel you on that.
So how do you get through those lulls, those moments when you're like, why? You know what I mean? Like it's not as cool here. Like what pushes you through that?
I mean, talking from my experience, like I was saying, I would sleep till 4 p.m. and I'm like, yeah, like why am I here? Like LA is like LA, like hang out with all these creators, we all do the same thing, and then coming here, it's like, whoa. But randomly one day I just woke up and I told myself like I'm tired of living like this. Like I signed up to a gym, I bought a car, I don't know what, like I was like, fuck, like I want to buy a car. And I just made decisions that I wanted to make, but I guess like fear was kind of holding me back. And then I realized that me being in Ottawa, I do see a potential because I get to focus more, like I make my content. You know, I blew up from Ottawa, so I didn't really need to be in the LA scene. And I just started putting things into perspective, like just posting content and building and building and building. You know, I'm promoting a song. I don't need to be in LA to promote a song because the internet's the internet. So that's what got me. And you know, going out on the weekends, dancing, seeing people, that also helped me. And that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, that's good. And so it was a Mustang, right?
Mustang, yeah.
How cool is that? Like, did you have a car growing up?
Never had a car.
So first car's a Mustang. That's not a bad place to start.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's because like in LA, we were driving a Dodge Charger, and it was like the best thing ever, you know. And it was my birthday. My birthday hit, and then I just was like, "Yo, I want to go to a dealership and buy a car," and that's what I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so let's
Thank
go
you.
back then to where all this started is with the music. Like
Yes.
you wouldn't have this Mustang if you didn't have the music.
If I didn't have the music, yeah.
And so when did you decide to make that switch from dance to I'm going to become a musician?
A couple things. So one, I started to. It was actually this moment. It was actually exactly this moment. So I was dancing, 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 but then I realized some people weren't like crazy excited, like if an artist came into town. This happened when Blues Fest was happening, and everybody was so excited for like these artists to come. And then I started thinking like, damn, like why are they so like, you know, dancers? They don't really. And then I just started thinking like, and then I started telling myself like, I don't want to be just a dancer. I want more. So I started vlogging, and I still felt that I needed something more. And then I started to listen to music, and I'm like, yo, I really want to do I really want to try music. And I wouldn't start for a second, like for a while, I wouldn't start music, but then I'd start to listen to music, and I'd kind of just get like mad at myself that I wasn't doing it. So long story short, I started being at my house a lot because, you know, I had a story with breaking my hand. I was there, and then next thing you know, I started researching what do I need to get music, bought the equipment, and then went for it.
If we look at Tiagz Talks 001,
Oh wow.
was Stop Overthinking and Just Do It. That was the title of
Was
the
that
video.
at a Tim Hortons? No, wait.
I don't remember where that was, but I feel like that's very applicable to this scenario.
Yeah. Damn. Wow.
You know what I mean?
Mindset. Yeah.
So like for someone in that situation then, where they want to start something but they can't get themselves over that starting line, what's your advice to someone in that situation?
To just start. Literally. Because I feel like people think it, like I used to sit in my couch or in my bed and just think about okay, I'm gonna start. I would create a fake scenario in my head on how everything is gonna happen, but then I realized like, yo, I'm still sitting here. So I'm like starting, because when you start, there's energies that just come that keeps you going to whatever. I don't know. It's just actions.
See, so you laugh when I ask that question because the answer seems so simple. You know what I mean?
It is so
But
simple.
for so many people, it's so hard to actually to take that step and start. But it's the most important thing you can do.
Literally.
And the other thing too, you said there too, is like you were kind of like laying out the path. You like
Yeah.
had the map, but then you still didn't start. So you mean like manifesting works, but manifesting works only if you work too. You know
Yes,
what I
sir.
mean? And it's like that's the key. Is to stop overthinking and just
do
do it, right?
Just
I
do
think
it.
too. So you said when you were to learn all this, like you were self-taught, you did this all yourself. And it was just back to when you were in Venezuela and you were just looking up videos on how to be more confident, how to approach people, how to talk to people. You just did that, but with music, right? And that's how you taught yourself how to do the whole
Literally,
thing.
I'd watch. It was really annoying, not gonna lie, because it was so long. I'd watch 50 minutes of guy like making a beat and how to make a beat, or I'd watch like how to mix a song, because a song takes mixing and mastering, and I had no one, so I had to learn. Like I needed to learn everything so I know how to make a song, and I'd watch videos over videos over videos, and then apply it, then fail, apply it, then fail, and yeah, YouTube. YouTube was the game for me.
And so that's like back to not starting. Like one of those excuses is I don't know how, and you just kind of put like you can use the internet. Everything you need to know is right
Everything
there at
is
your
there.
fingertips. And another excuse is like I don't have the gear. So tell me about the gear you had when you just
Okay.
started.
So I had some money saved up from like, because I was teaching dance before. I had some money saved up, and my first microphone was an MXL microphone, and it cost me I think $45. Yeah, and it was not the best mic, but I did do some some cool songs with it, and I think there's really not an excuse. Like I always go like back, like okay, I don't have money, then I'll get a job and save up, buy the gear, and then quit the job. There's always a solution. And then if people say, oh, like there's just always, you can apply like on Indeed, like, and just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And odds are you're applying to Indeed either on a computer or a phone. And if you have one of those two things, you can probably start creating now. You know what I mean? Like, it
Literally.
won't be great, but like I always tell people when it comes to podcasts, like if you have a phone, if you hold your phone really close, the audio doesn't sound that bad. And you can
Literally,
you can
it's
start a
the
podcast.
it's
You know what I
such
mean?
a good audio. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like people just make excuses, but that's why I was curious about the gear you had when you started out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like the gear doesn't matter. It's how you use the gear. at the
Yeah,
end of the
because
day.
like I remember now that you say that, I was sitting on the floor literally, and I had like this white box that my mom bought to put clothes in, and I had to, this pop filter, stuck it in, put the computer on it, and I'll hold the mic, not even a mic stand, and I just record my first song like that. And it was really because I was so determined to just get a song done. And once I did the song, I was like, yo, this is it.
And so when you publicly started talking about making music, it was 2017, I believe. Was that?
I think so. It's been 4 years that I'm making music. So if we do the math, I think it's 2017.
Yeah. So it was Tiagz vlog 017. I'm making music now.
Oh yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
are gonna hate. So,
Yeah.
So like, what was that reaction like from your friends and family when you're like, "Hey, I'm not just dancing anymore. I'm also making the music."
My parents had no clue about it. They saw me like with a mic stand, and my mom was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, like I didn't even say what I was doing." But I knew that people were gonna hate because, I had a lot of people tell me, "Yo, stick to dancing, stick to dancing." Like, like even close people, like, they, I don't want to mention names, but like they'd tell me like, "Yo, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this and that. You gotta go to LA, you gotta go here, blah 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 blah." Like, dancing is easier. You should stick to dancing. And I just knew that, because I don't know, when you start something, there's always gonna be people that want to put you down. So yeah.
Always. And so in that situation, how do you know who to listen to? Because everyone's giving you advice. So how do you
Yeah.
know whose advice
I
to
listen.
take in?
I would listen to the people that actually done something. Like, why am I gonna listen? That's what kept me like, okay, what this person is saying is not it. So that's what kept me going.
And like it's not like you were like making music for fun back in 2017. Like you've been on the grind since pretty much you started.
Yeah.
Like I can remember, I know we've talked about the
Yeah.
past, but it's like you messaged me back when I was like vlogging consistently.
that,
Like
yeah.
you message me on Instagram, you're like, "Yo, can you put my song in your vlog?" It's
Yeah.
like if on my vlog channel
Thank
somewhere,
you,
if
by
you
the
go,
way.
oh no
I
worries,
appreciate
man.
that.
It was just like if you go back far enough, there's a vlog I put in there, and it's like
Yeah,
it was
it's
shoot.
the one outside. You were
Yeah, and the
outside,
song was
yeah.
shoot, and it was just like it was perfect because like I always did like for whenever I vlog, I always take shots of my feet when I'm walking, and so you sent me a song called "Shoot," and I was like, this is perfect for those shots when I'm like walking,
That's
and
freaking
so it's
fire.
just cool. Like, and I remember too because we'll get to this in a bit, was like when your Instagram got deleted, right? And like because I followed you on your original Instagram,
Yeah.
and like you were always like you post a lot. And then you were
Yeah.
always in my feed, and then you were just gone one day, and it never really hit me that like you just weren't popping up in the feed anymore. And like
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, maybe like you stopped making music, which I was like, that's weird. Like you don't seem like the kind of
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
And then I remember on TikTok, like this is probably like 3 years later, and I was like scrolling, and like you popped up on my feed,
Wow.
and I was like, you didn't stop making music. Like
Wow,
you're still
that's
going. Like let's
crazy.
fucking go. Like because you were gone, I didn't realize.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like it was just a cool moment when I realized like you were still making music. You know what I mean? I was
That's
like, oh, that's the
crazy.
guy that sent me the song. And then like it was a video that didn't have your song, your music in it. And so and this was after your songs had popped.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize they were yours. Like the
Wow.
songs that were going, like
Yeah.
it's like I'd be like listening to those songs and I didn't know that it was you.
That's
like
crazy.
it never clicked
never
in until
really
I saw
connected.
I saw a video of you. And so I was like, oh, you're on like TikTok, and like maybe you just made the switch from Instagram to TikTok. And that's why I see
Okay,
Instagram.
okay.
So I followed you on TikTok, and then like you popped up again like later on. I was like, oh, that's those are your fucking songs. Like it
That's
was just like
crazy,
crazy. You know
bro.
what I mean? Like that full circle from back from I just always remember back in 2017, like you just messaged me out of
Bro,
nowhere
I
before you
was
didn't even
on
know
the
me.
grind,
And like
yeah.
I always just think that's so cool that like you're one of the ones that like you worked your ass off for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just
I
like
really did.
like it's
Like
crazy.
no ego shit. I actually did.
Yeah, like we'll even like as we keep going here, like there's more stories I found in prepping that like I think are just gonna keep showing the amount of work that you put in to get here.
Appreciate that.
But the first song was Society, right?
Society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had a pretty like well produced video for that too, right?
Oh yeah.
Like TD Place, is that where you recorded?
TD Place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like talk to me then. Like, do you remember making that first song?
Yeah, that was the song I was holding
Oh, that
the
was that
microphone.
one.
Yeah, and even when like you know the little thing the cable moved, you'd hear like like some weird shit. And yeah, I was recording that song, and honestly, I didn't even know what I was saying. I just liked the way I was sounding, so I was like just going with it, and I made the song. And then I was like, oh, I need a video for it, and I started sponsoring the post. And I was getting mad hate, like, yo, this is trash, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, shit, should I continue? And that's what happened with that song. And then I went to the next one.
So why did you continue? Because you talked about like there's people in your circle that were like kind of hating a little bit. Now you promote this video, people are hating. Like you're getting lots of hate from different
Lots of
angles
hate,
right when
yeah.
you start. So why did you like, you know what? I'm going to keep going. Like how did you turn those people out?
I was, in the beginning, I was just obsessed with doing it. I was so obsessed that no outside voice was like hitting me because I just wanted to get good. I wanted, yeah, like I was obsessed with it. Like time when I was in it, time because I was done high school, right? So I had nothing else to do, and when I was in it, time just flew. Like I'd be in it for 5 minutes and then it's already nighttime. So that's what got me in.
So it was just you fell in love with the process.
Yeah, I just loved the process of making it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people are always like looking for that thing that's just gonna like they're gonna fall in love with. But like, was it like an instantaneous thing? Like the first day you sat down to learn about music and started doing it, did you fall in love with it? It was like after putting in some work, you started to realize how much you.
I think it was after I made my first song. That was when I was like, yo, this is fire. Like, and then I continued.
I remember when I was prepping for this. I'm trying to see. I have it written down here. I don't know if I have the song written down. I don't. But you used to like practice your music on the way to work. Like I think I watched a vlog of you like biking in the winter time or something to save time, and like that's crazy. So like talk to me about some of like the sacrifices you made early on. Like did you quit your job at one point, like before you'd even made it, like to just focus on music for a little while? Did that happen?
No, so I didn't have a job for a very long time. I was making music. But then at some point, like I was with my ex at the time, and I realized like, damn, I'm actually broke, right? So I was like, yeah, damn, I can't even like take out, like I felt bad because I was like, damn, like, so I went one time to the Tim Hortons, and then I started looking for a job with my broke ass computer, and I applied for some jobs. I got accepted to one, and that's when I started working part-time.
Okay. And so did you not have a job at that point because you wanted to focus on music? Was that
Yeah, I just wanted to do music, but then also one of the reasons I wanted to apply for a job is like I wanted to use the money for marketing because I felt like, you know, a lot of people charge, you know, for like a TikTok post or whatever. So I was like, huh, let me get a job, let me use this money and then push it for TikTok.
That's it. So what are some? So you're like paying people to push your videos. That's why you got a
Yeah,
job.
to post a TikTok
like
with the songs.
So you're finding all these in as many ways as you can to get your music out there.
Yeah,
You know what
that
I mean?
was because I knew I just need one song. Because I would listen to Gary Vee a lot, and he would say just one song is gonna change your life, one song, and I'm like, I need that one song, like whatever it takes, whatever I gotta do, just that one song to go viral, and then the rest will follow.
And I feel like a lot of people think they need to dive headfirst into something. Like you did at first, like you didn't have the job, but then you realized over time that like having that job to like, so you have some money in the bank, you know what I mean? Like it also takes some of the pressure off, you know what I mean? Like if you hadn't got the job, you're really like, obviously you want a song to hit, but like if you were like needing a song to hit to go out to eat, like you're going to put so much extra pressure on yourself. So having that job probably took some pressure off and allowed you to reinvest at the same time. So it wasn't a bad thing at the end of the day.
Fresh. I think I did still have a little bit of pressure from especially my parents because, like, you know, I'm pursuing something, I'm not studying. I think the fact of not studying was a pressure from them because I'm like, this is it, you know? But I don't know why. I just knew that someday it was gonna happen regardless. I don't know how, like, I don't know where this belief came, but it was so stuck in my mind that I just knew. And I don't know. I really, it's hard to know how I really got that confidence of like just knowing. So yeah.
And speaking of Gary Vee and needing to make money, like you were on your flipping grind for a while. I remember that.
Yeah. I was doing that shit. Wow.
That's like, I just
I
think
forgot about that.
so. Like, talk to me about that then for a minute. Like how realistic is it for someone to go to do the garage sale thing and make money that way? Because like you were doing it. It's like,
I was doing it and I would wake up very early, like 5 a.m. and I'd do it. Damn. Now that I look back, I'm like, damn, this guy's crazy. Like, what? But yeah, I wake up, I'd take the bus, like, take the bus and then just buy, like you see me buy, like, tennis rackets. I'm putting them in my bag. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would do that. And I didn't make a lot of money out of it, but I don't know. I was like, I didn't want a job. Like, I'm like, maybe I can make money like this. I was confident, like, maybe I can make some money like this, but after everything happened, I realized, damn, I didn't like it. I didn't like flipping.
no,
No,
not gonna be a
Yeah,
full-time
I thought
flipper.
it was something that I would, you know, be passionate about, but not really.
And you figured that out by trying it, which I feel like a lot of people think they
Yeah.
can just sit down and like think about what they're gonna be passionate about, but like it's
Exactly.
by putting the action, trying.
It's really trying because, like, you know, maybe someone cannot like, let's say, skiing. Maybe like how it looks is like, oh, like I don't want to do it, but maybe when you're actually in it, you're like, damn, this shit is actually fire. So
It's like this podcast. This podcast started as like a way for me to meet people that could teach me how to grow my YouTube channel. And then I realized I like the podcast better.
fire.
You know what I mean? So it's just, you never know what's actually going to hit you when you try
But
it.
you've been trying because you were doing vlogs too before,
Yeah,
right?
so I was doing the vlog
Yeah.
before, and I was like, I'm going to interview people that are big on YouTube so they can tell me how to grow my vlog, but I'll call it a podcast so that it gives them an excuse to talk to me. And then I like the
Wow,
podcast
that's
better.
actually very interesting.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
just, you never know what that thing is going to be that's going to stick with you.
Never know.
You know? And so you talked about how like you were just going to keep going and going and going because you knew you just need that one song to hit. And
Yeah.
The first song for you to hit was the Egg song, right?
That wasn't really a hit,
No?
but it was like a song that, you know, the World Record Egg reposted, and I'm like, yo, like in my head, I was like, I made it, but nothing really came out of that. But yeah, I was, well, like then I started pushing it, but nothing, it didn't get as big.
No. But it was like, it almost showed, it was like the proof of concept that like
That it works.
the meme music,
The
quote
meme
unquote,
music would work. Yeah, that showed me.
And so can you explain what the meme music is exactly?
So for me, the way that I make it is literally grabbing these viral memes of whatever and just putting them in the song some way or somehow and just mashing them up. Everybody thinks, oh, it's remixing, but I always tell people, no, this is sampling. Like Kanye West does it all the time. And people see him like, oh, he's an artist. And I get that confusion sometimes. Like, no, I'm literally doing the same thing, sampling. So it's basically sampling memes, putting them in some way in the song.
Whenever I talk to people about content creation and making content, I use you as an example in two ways. It's always just the never giving up and just keep going and going and going. But I also use you as an example for speed. because it's not like you're using old memes that were hot 2 months ago and like taking the time. Like you can put songs out with a hot meme very, very quickly. So like, how are you able to do that? And I feel like to get to that point, you have to get songs to a point where they're good enough, but not perfect. You know what I mean? Because if you were to stress about it being quote unquote perfect, you're going to spend so much extra time trying to get it there that it's not going to be hot anymore. So like, how do you get quote unquote get good at putting songs out quickly?
I think repetition of putting songs quickly. You know, I know like I have speed in making a song and just putting it out, but it became so normal to me now that I'm not when I'm making the song, I'm not like, oh, I gotta do it quick. Like I just make it and then that's it. And what I realized, there's moments where I put so much time into making a song, never took off. There's a song where I just freaking just make like that, like Muffins in the Freezer. That's a song that I literally did not try at all. At all. Like, you know, like level 0 of not trying. And that song ended up being so big on TikTok. And for me, that was like, that showed me like, whoa, quality is subject. Like anything can pop. So I told myself, like, don't even overthink it. Just like make, you know, just enjoy the process basically.
And with the meme music, like you studied Lil Nas X, didn't you?
Yes, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously like his biggest one that really put him on the map was Old Town Road. And so like, what are some of those lessons you learned from Lil Nas X that you're able to apply to your own music?
Pretty much a lot, because Lil Nas X, what I've learned, and I heard it from Clubhouse on people that worked with him and how he did it, and he was basically saying he grabs viral videos and just puts his song on top of them. Like he grabs viral things and just innovates on them. Like good example, Drake's album just came out. The album is Pregnant Woman. That kind of went viral for being memey. Lil Nas X, what he did, he grabbed that and he put himself pregnant and take pictures with it, and that created a conversation. And he understands that anything that is viral will always be viral. And that's a concept that I was like, wow, that works. And I did that, but with the music itself, like not the videos. And that's how basically it blew up.
So do you remember how you found Lil Nas X the first time?
I heard Old Town Road, the song on the memes, the like cowboy memes and stuff. And then I'm like, oh, and then I kept seeing it and seeing it and seeing it. And then next thing you know, I saw Lil Nas X, and then I saw how he was promoting it. And I tried to study him very carefully on how he did that. And that's how I met him. Like, well, saw him.
Yeah. And so was this before you got on TikTok? Was that when Old Town Road?
Yeah, before I got on TikTok. Yeah.
And so I know I mentioned earlier, but your Instagram, so you had Instagram, you grew it to, it was over 10K, I think, and then it got deleted.
Deleted, yeah, because I saw Lil Nas X how he blew up, so I was like, let me do this on Instagram. I grabbed it, boom, 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 put the memes, but a lot of the memes were community guidelines against that, you know, someone running, then explosion, and from there I was like, oh shit. And then Instagram started telling me, hey, if you continue, we're gonna delete your account. And I already posted like 100 videos, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And then deleted it, and I'm like, all right, I have nothing else to promote it.
So bring me back to that day when you realized your account's gone. All that work you put in, 10,000 followers, gone. Like bring me back to that moment.
Yo, I remember I took a video and I'm like, hey guys, my Instagram got deleted. Follow me on this account. And I'm like, and I remember like, honestly, like shout out to my ex, because she like helped so much in those situations. I was talking to her, I'm like, yo, what am I gonna do? It's like, yo, you gotta keep going. But thankfully, after like maybe a month, Gary Vee was talking about TikTok. And then that's what I was like, okay, I have no other choice but to post on TikTok and grow the way like that.
Before starting TikTok and after your account got deleted on Instagram, was there ever a moment where you were like, I'm just gonna give up? Like I can't do it all over again?
No. No. There was moments where I was like, how? Like there's no other, like I was like, oh, there's no other way, like how? But it was never like, oh, I'm done. It was never like that. Never.
So August 2019, you uploaded the first TikTok video, right?
Yeah.
What was the first video you posted?
It was just me dancing on a song, like it was like a Gunna song. I was just like doing like weird tutting and stuff. Yeah.
And then so from that video, it was 701 videos you posted and not a single one of them blew up.
Not a single. I mean, blew up like maybe like 100K max, 200 maybe possibly, but like an actual like viral like changing, it was 700 and the 702nd time.
What was that video?
It was me on how to make a song with a viral trend, and the viral trend was a guy, selfie mode. He was like, "I'm in the ghetto, la ta ta ta," and I used that. I put it into, I did the comps on how to make a song with this. I made it Latin, and then it just went crazy, like 15 million views. It was crazy for me. I was like shocked.
And we talked about how that was one video can change your life, and that was the one video.
That was the one video, but it did not change my life. But I started for the first time, like I'd get DMs, I'd reply, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe," and I was like, "Wait, what?" Like my mind didn't comprehend that. It was just crazy for me.
And the crazy thing about that video though is that you almost didn't post it.
I almost didn't post it. I was gonna post it, but not at that timing exactly. Yeah.
So why'd you end up posting it then?
So basically, I had the video ready. I uploaded the song on DistroKid, which is a Spotify streaming platform, and the song takes a while to come out. So I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna post it. So I had the video like in my drafts. I put down my phone. I turned on my shower. Getting ready for the shower. I came back. I grabbed it, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just post it. Like F it. Like I'm just gonna post it. Went to my shower, came back, and I'm like, oh, it got 5K views. Oh, cool. And then I started getting ready for bed, and then I saw 23K, and I'm like, oh shit, this is going hard. Like this is growing. And then next thing you know, I had work the next day at 8 a.m. Next thing you know, I see 100K, and I'm like, what? That was so fast. And then I kept getting comments, and then people were going to YouTube to see the song because I dropped it on YouTube, and the song on YouTube was growing, and I'm like, and then I kept buzzing bzz, 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 all night till like 4 a.m. and I'm like, what? This is going viral. I went to sleep, woke up the next day, 1 million. I'm like, I lost my shit. Yeah.
And so like that's so crazy. What was your job then when all this is happening? Where you working?
At that time, I was working at a gymnastics center. I was a gymnastic coach, after school coach, and parkour coach.
Was that the job where you're biking and like practicing music while you bike to work?
Not bike. That was a little bit tough, but I would no, that was my other job, which I would take the bus. But now, yeah, I started to bike with that job.
And then so the next one was Rise and Shine, right? After that?
Rise and Shine was actually before. So that showed me that it didn't go crazy viral, but that showed me like, oh, grabbing these viral moments, putting them in a song could work. Because everybody would make trap remixes, but it was just the beat and the viral meme. I was like, let me actually make an actual song. And that's what gave me the formula.
And so this was still 2019, right?
Yeah.
When this was happening. So you put out over 700 songs in like how many months was that?
How many months did I put what?
Like how long did it, like, because you started in August, how long did it take you to get to that 702nd video? Like how long?
Oh, it's 700, and it was exactly the 30th. Wait, when was it? The 31st of December. So I blew up during New Year's.
But like my thing with that is so August, September, October, November, December, 5 months, 700 videos.
Yes.
How are you doing 700 videos in 5 months?
Because that's the only thing I was doing, trying to figure out. Because I was under pressure. I was like, yo, my Instagram got deleted. I got to get back up. And I'll try everything, like everything.
Do you remember the stranger that came up to you in the gym in January of 2020?
The what?
The stranger that came up to you in the gym?
The stranger came up to me in the gym.
Yeah, he told you just keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, that was so random. Yeah, so I was at the gym, and at first, while I was working out, I see this guy like barefoot, and I'm like, okay, what's this thing? I go to the washroom, I'm changing, and then this guy just randomly comes up to me. He's like, bro, I don't know why I'm gonna say this. It might be really strange to you, but just keep doing what you're doing. And I looked at him, and I'm like, it's weird because like there's actually something going on. And he's like, just keep doing what you're doing. Then he left, and I'm like, I was shocked. So many weird things happened to me. Holy shit.
And then after that, that's when you dropped My Heart Went Oops, right?
After that, I believe so. Yeah. Oh, I remember because I made it And then the next day I took an Uber and I was listening to a song and I'm like, yo, this is hard. But that's it. That's all I thought about it. I'm like, yo, this is hard. But that's
So you
it.
dropped it on, it was January 29th. That's when you dropped My Heart Went Oops.
Probably, yeah.
Just over 2 weeks later, on Valentine's Day, February 14th, Charlie D'Amelio used that song.
Yes.
How did it go from you drop it in January to now the biggest TikToker on the planet is using it 2 weeks later?
So crazy. So I made the same formula video. It only got 50K. So for me, that was like, okay, let me move on to the next song. It didn't work out. But thanks to DistroKid, it uploads the name. It's My Heart Went Oops. The official song of like so basically My Heart Went Oops. It was a trending jazz song that I grabbed and I made it hip hop. The jazz song is called Oops. So people, search Oops and then they find it. But then the lines of the video is My Heart Went Oops. So I was like, I'm gonna name it My Heart Went Oops. Now when people search it, My Heart Went Oops, it's the first one that appears. So what happened was an influencer with 3 million followers used it as a background song. And I'm like, oh, that's sick. It got 3 million views. Like, whoa, sick. Next day, another influencer uses it. She does a cool transition. I'm like, oh, wow, that's sick. Like 1 million views. Cool. And then I see someone that I actually know use it. I'm like, yo, I know this influencer. I can't believe you use it. That's so crazy. Nice. That's next thing you know, I'm at the gym. I get a snap from my friend. He's like, yo, bro, Charlie D'Amelio used your song. And I'm like, no, that's impossible. I go check. I see the freaking song. And I'm like, how? I lost it at the gym.
And so how much later until you dropped, They Call Me Tiago?
So when My Heart Went Ooze was blowing up, I told myself this strategy works. I don't want to be like, my mind was, I do not want to be a one-hit wonder. I'm gonna continue doing this shit. And funny thing, I dropped They Call Me Tiago. Nothing really happened. I came back. I was in LA for the record label meetings. I came back to Ottawa. Next thing you know, freaking Dixie D'Amelio uses it, and I'm like, what? This is gonna happen again? And it blew up, and I'm like, how? What? It's like, I can't believe it.
Have you had a chance to talk to either Charlie or Dixie and be like, yo, thank you for using my song?
I did send them a message. They didn't reply. I'm friends with Dixie on TikTok, and I met her in person in LA at a club, but that's the only time we talked. Yeah.
And so you dropped, like I said, it was My Heart Went Oops was January 29th.
Yeah.
And this is just how fast things went for you, because it was February 29th, a month later exactly, that you quit your job.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I quit my job.
But like that, so talking about the decision to quit your job, and like, what did your parents think? You know what I mean? Like now that things are finally kind of starting to hit.
They didn't really understand the whole TikTok thing, but I was kind of telling them like, hey, like the song is going viral. But the song was going viral, but then at some point I was like, okay, the song is going viral, but no opportunities coming. Like, and then I remember I was in my dad's car, and he was like putting fuel in the car, and I was just talking to God and be like, yo, like nothing happened yet, but the song is going viral. Then next thing you know, when I came back home, I get an email from Republic Records like, hey, we heard your song, My Heart Went Ooze. We'd love to get on a phone call. And then I turned around, and then I search up Republic Records, and then I see Drake, Ariana Grande, and then I turn around, and my dad like, Dad, like this label, Drake's label just messaged me, and he's like, oh no way. And then once I got the ticket to go being flown out to LA, that's when my parents were like, okay, this is real, like this is happening.
And so with that trip to LA, one thing I didn't talk about in that first vlog where you said you were making music was the Tiagz vlog 0017.
Yeah.
You used to go to the airport that you flew to LA to, and you used to just visualize.
I went to the airport and I'm like, yo, one day.
And then fast forward a couple years and you're at that airport again, not visualizing, but actually flying.
It's insane.
Which I just think is so cool. Like,
it's insane. Cause like I remember I was at a Harvey's and I talked with my ex saying like, yo, like flying out to LA was very impossible. Like it was so hard because of money wise and stuff. But the fact now that I'm like, whoa, I can go anytime if I wanted to, and just connect, from the people that I've connected with over there is just insane to me.
Do you still practice visualization today?
It's funny because like I don't think I practice visualization. I think I do it subconsciously. I think like naturally I just feel it. You know, it's very interesting. But yeah.
So then talking about when you first touched down in LA for the first time, like you've been flown out there, like what's going through your mind? How do you feel? Like bring me back to that moment.
Um, when I got there, I wait, let me. Oh yeah, when I got there, I was like, I felt like I was living the like rock star life. Like I feel like I was like, damn, like I'm like looking at all these buildings and I'm like, whoa, like going to all these meetings and I'm like, yo, honestly, but the funny part is like I wasn't so shocked. That's one thing because I was like going to these business meetings and stuff, and it felt very like natural. I feel like I've already been in that place, but it was still a shock. But I feel like, oh, like I'm gonna keep going. Like I was already on the run. Like I wasn't. I was like, okay, let's get some work. Like I got to LA. I remember I got to the apartment, and the next day, I took a story and I was like, yo guys, like I'm here. Like I was working. I was mixing shit. Like I'm not trying to get distracted. Like I'm working here, and yeah, that's how I was.
And like I know you probably can't talk about everything, but like what are those conversations, those meetings like? Like what are you having meetings about when you get to LA?
With the labels.
Yeah.
So first meeting, I went there. I met the A&R. As soon as he saw me, he was like so happy. Like he hugged me. He's like, "Yo, like let's get it." You know, like, cause he really wanted to sign me. Like he was really, really interested. And I started talking. I went in the room. I sat down. My manager at the time was beside me. Well, no, still my manager. He was beside me. There was this like big guy, and then there was my A&R. Next thing you know, the CEO. This was Epic Records. The CEO comes in, and they're just sitting there. And then she's like, "Okay, play some of his music." They played they call me Tiago because that song wasn't like crazy crazy, but it was getting traction, and they were just listening. And then the CEO told me, "You gotta keep doing what you're doing." And then the A&R was like, "Okay, so when do we sign? I'm ready." And then it was funny. And it's funny because I even told like because I know how it usually labels are known for like, oh, they wanna take your money or whatever. And I literally told because I don't really care about money like at all. And I told my A&R like I literally told him like, hey, like I'm trying to make you money, like I'm trying to bring you what you need, And then we went to the other meetings and it was always different. Like I would talk, some would be like chilled back, not really like the hype of interest. They would be chilled back, like, yeah, we're gonna talk with everybody and we're gonna see if it happens. But there's one experience that not a lot of people know is when I went to Hitco. And in Hitco, the owner of Hitco is LA Reid. He was in the X Factor, I believe, at some point with Justin Bieber and stuff. I think he signed Usher and he signed DJ Khaled, he signed Future and stuff. And I remember I came in that room. It was so weird because like they were all chill. Next thing you know, they put us in this like those offices where it's like super long and all the chairs. They put us there. Next thing you know, you see just a bunch of people, like everybody in the office just come in the same room. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then Ellie Reid comes. He sits in like the desk, like he's just waiting there, like. And then he's like waiting, and then a guy comes to me. He's like, "Yeah, so L.A. Reid, the way he signs people, he wants to see them do a presentation and just do a whole like put your song and just sing your song." And I'm like, "What? Like I'm not ready for this. Like I've never done this in my life." And then my manager's like, what else? And then I looked at the room, and since I was a dancer, I told him, "Okay, guys, I'm just gonna dance. Like I'll put my song, but I'm just gonna dance." And next thing you know, I put an unreleased song and then I started just dancing, doing hat tricks, and then people were like, "What?" And next thing you know, someone brings us two in like this weird room, puts us in, calls my manager. My manager goes out, 15 minutes, comes back in, and then he's like worried, and I'm like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "So yeah, he's trying to keep you here till you sign because he wants to sign you." And I'm like, wait, what? Like, cause that's the way he signs people. Like, he explained one time that the way he signed 21 Savage, he was in the room, he did his presentation, and then next you know, he's like, okay, we want to sign you. And then 21 Savage was like, under one condition. And then he was like, what? And he's like, if you get me a Ferrari. And then he's like, okay, I'll give you the money for a Ferrari, but won't get you Ferrari. And then he's like, okay. But yeah, long story short, we didn't sign. We went back out, and we came the next day. I started talking with him because I didn't know who he was. So I started asking him, like, what do you guys want? Like, what are you guys interested? Like, I don't really know. Like, and they just started talking and talking. And then we gave the offer we wanted. They gave a little bit low from what we wanted. So at the end, we, never ended up signing with them. And that's about it.
You said how, I think it was the Epic meeting, or when you were with the A&R from Epic, where you're like, I don't care about money. Like, I want to make you guys money. Mm-hmm. So if you don't care about money, what do you care about?
The fact that they're going to push my stuff, like, to give me the attention, because a lot of people sign to these labels and they don't get any, support because they're not putting in work for whatever reason. So my fear, and I was telling this to every label, like, and I asked them the question, like, why do artists sign and next you don't hear from them ever again? And then some people answer me like, sometimes it depends on the artist. Sometimes the artist wants the bag, and then he just laid back, okay, like, spends it on cars and shit. I'm like, okay, I'm lit. Like, I don't need to do anything else. So yeah, that's what I'm interested in, the support.
So how do you make sure that doesn't happen to you?
Not give me the support.
No, like, how do you make sure that you're not one of those artists where you sign and no one hears from you?
I think my work ethic, because I'm always working, and I tell myself, like, as long as I'm always working, nothing can really stop me. Even if the label doesn't support, I'm still gonna push, and that's, I think, what keeps it up.
You've also got a really good relationship with your fans. You know what I mean? Through your TikTok and your social, like, you have like that direct connection. So like, even if for some reason music's not coming out, like, you still have that touch point with your audience versus like some musicians, because they don't use social the way you do. It's like the only touch point their audience has is the music. And so you have more than that, which
because it's the goal. Like, I don't want to be just the musician. I really want to be a figure too. So it's important for me. I post my dance battles, my dance videos, and whatever. And it's very important for me to have that connection, because I also want to give, like, these people, like, I want to show people, because my situation, the only person I had was like kind of Gary Vee telling me like, hey, go. And I think it's important for people to have that person that pushes them to do what they want, because it's very sad doing something you don't love for the rest of your life. Like, it's very, so yeah.
Was it a trip for you when you got to talk to Gary Vee?
It was crazy. I don't know if you saw the video, but I was like oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like, I'm talking to Gary Vee.
And so with LA, like, because you went to LA right before the pandemic really hit, right? Like, you kind of came back and the world shut down.
Yeah.
Did that like slow progress down with the labels at all? Like, were you concerned, like, because the world's kind of going sideways, like, this moment might be gone for me now?
It really didn't. I didn't really see all the elements that a label could provide, but I'm not complaining, because the songs went crazy viral. Everybody was home, so everybody definitely heard it. So yeah.
And so when pandemic hit, you just kind of doubled down on what you were doing already?
Yeah.
Was that was
basically
the game plan?
doubling down, and it lasted the whole lockdown. Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
Was there like, is it tough during a pandemic when things are popping off for you, where like you don't necessarily, like, you see the numbers on social, but you don't necessarily get to see like the tangible results? You know what I mean? Like, is that hard for you?
It wasn't hard, because I was never used to it. I was always inside. Even when pandemic hit, I'd still do the same things that I do. I never went outside. But then when things started to open, I would go outside. But then I'm like, in my head, I was like, do people not know who I am? Like, people don't really recognize me. And then I started to know, people know the songs, but they don't know the artist. So that's when I started the process of making videos saying like, hey guys, I made all these songs. And every one of them popped like crazy viral. And then I did the hair, and now people are starting to know.
So the hair was almost like just entirely like a branding play.
Yeah, definitely.
Where'd you get that idea from?
This guy. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, he was because it was a funny story because I was in LA and I was dressed like I didn't really care about my image, like straight up. I did not care. I didn't think it was important. I didn't think it mattered in terms of being an artist. But then at some point, I was like, okay, wait, it might actually be something. And now I can like every artist says like that image is even Drake says that image is super important. It's even Blueface said it like image is everything. And before I disagreed, I'm like, nah, this is the music, that's it. But no, then I started to realize, oh, image actually does play because I was in LA and an influencer told me like because they recognize them but not a lot of people recognize me, even the people that I surround with. Like I remember one time I was at the Wish House in LA and I was there, nobody people knew who I was. I played my song to someone, he's like, yeah, I made that song, and then people heard it, and the next you know everybody came up to me and was like, wait, did you actually make that song? I'm like, yeah, and then everybody was like, oh yeah, the collab, let's work. And then it was funny. And then what happened was an influencer, like a good friend of mine now, he told me like if you can be a brand that people can dress as in Halloween, then you're a strong brand. And I'm like, yo. And then he started saying like, look at Steve Jobs, you know, turtleneck, the glasses, you know, look at, you know, 6ix9ine, freaking rainbow hair. And I'm like, yo, that's actually very interesting. And then I came back to Ottawa, and then randomly he calls me and then he asks me like, hey, why don't you dye your hair? And I'm like, why not? You know, maybe that's the thing. And then we were thinking, you know, all blue. And then we started thinking about doing a split. And then next thing you know, I wanted silver and blue, but next thing you know, we did bleach and blue. And I was like, okay. And then I did the hair. And since the hair, I've been getting recognized way more. Yeah.
So how would you describe your image?
That's a good question. I guess like anime street style.
That's it. That's an interesting way to put it. Because I feel like, because like that like, today in 2021, that's cool. But I feel like if you told someone your image was anime street style back in like 2015, it wouldn't be looked at as cool.
It wouldn't be a cool thing. Yeah, you'd be like a weaver or whatever. Yeah.
It's like, how cool is that for you to be able to incorporate your other passions into what you do? You know what I mean? Like, you love anime. Like, I know you, I think it was, which one of your songs you referenced Naruto, I believe it was.
Yeah, Maha went oops.
Yeah. So like, how cool is that for you to be able to incorporate your other passions into what you're doing?
I think it's everything to me. Cause like, you know, I think incorporating dance in what I do is the best thing ever because, you know, I can relate to Michael Jackson. I can relate to Chris Brown, and I'm like, yo, like I'm the generation of like, I don't think I know any artist that, and I'm just putting this out, I don't think there's any other artist that dances as well as me. I don't think so. And I can get hate for this, but I really don't think so. Yeah.
And like it's more authentic to include your other, you know what I mean? Like with your image that you've crafted it around things that are already like genuine, authentic to you. So it's like a genuine image. You know what I mean? It's not like you popped and you're like, okay, now I need to come up with someone that's not me to be my image. You know what I mean? Like you just took other elements of yourself and made those your image. You're not like fronting. You're not
like trying to look like someone.
Yeah, you're not trying to look like someone else. You're just being yourself still, which I think
is
like
authentic. For example, in terms of clothes, like I'll buy stuff that I like, you know, like in terms of image, I don't think like, oh, I gotta look this way, I gotta look. No, I'll just buy things that I like. You know, I like my curly hair. I like when it's down a little bit. I fuck with the blue and the yellow. I like these chains. You know, there's some chains I don't like, and I'll just, you know, I'll see some shoes. I'm like, yo, I really like those shoes. So it's all about what I like, and I just, you know, incorporate that in me.
I've talked to people on the podcast in the past about like when they have that thing that they want to be their main thing, but they're not, like when they're grinding at something. And then when they finally kind of make it, quote unquote, that like it becomes not as fun anymore. As soon as it becomes a job and like you're not chasing that thing, there's not that like I'm working to make it. Once you actually make it, it's like not as like there's that moment where like, oh, I'm here now. Like it's not as cool. You know what I mean? It's like the race is over. Like yeah. I've talked to you obviously, you know, Babin, like Tyler Babin. He was one of Gary V's videographers.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like him, like when he got the job with Gary, he was like, it kind of like fucked with him for a little bit. Oh, he was like, okay. He was like, oh, I'm here now. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm not chasing it anymore. Like I'm here. So it's like, what's the next thing to chase? Like, did you have that when you signed the record deal? Where you're like, okay, I'm here now. Like, oh shit. Like what's next?
when I signed the record deal, honestly, I was more determined than ever. Yeah. Yeah. And in terms, I did have a situation where I was like that, where my goal was I want my first million on a song, and then I got it, and I'm like, okay, now what? But then I realized, okay, my goal or my vision, and I always say this, my vision is to become one of the biggest and most impactful entertainers in the universe. That vision is gonna be till the day I die. So now, for example, I had viral songs on TikTok. Now I want a song that is gonna hit like mainstream, like, Billboard or whatever, and I'm always on that grind. I'm very grateful for what I have now, and I feel if I stop, this is like a mentality that I just naturally have. Like, if I stop, all this stops, or all this just starts to fade away. So I always make sure to keep going. Like, for example, I'm getting approached more often now. To me, I'm like, yo, that's crazy. My goal is to go outside, and like I can't even go to the grocery store or whatever. So it motivates me even more. Like, whoa, I'm getting approached more. Like, let me up a level, or like, yo, like this song is working, let me up it, or so I always, I think it helps me having a really, really, really big goal that keeps me going till, you know
How'd you come up with that goal? And because I feel like for a lot of people, like that goal might even be too big for people to even to say publicly. You know what I mean? Like to be one of the most impactful entertainers in the universe. Like not even just the world, like the universe. You know what I mean? Like that's a big goal. So like, how did you come to the realization of that goal and then want to share it publicly? Because for a lot of people to make a claim like that, they don't even feel comfortable putting that out there. So like, where'd you come to that goal, and how come you're comfortable kind of just saying that?
Come with that goal. These were in my dancing days, like when I was really young, and I wrote it on a paper, on a notes, and I basically wrote, I want to become one of the biggest and most well, no, that came after, but it was basically, I want to be a dancer, and I want dance to be as recognized as music and acting, and I want to go into those fields as well. And then it evolved to, I want to become one of the biggest and most impactful. So I just, like, as a kid, I remember I had a conversation with my dad talking about famous people, and he told me like, oh, not a lot of people, only a few people get to be famous or something like that. And then it just stuck with me. I'm like, huh. And I think this is when I was really like a kid, like maybe like 10 years old. And I'm like, what if one day that could be me? What if I can be one of that percentage? And then I think it also comes back to when I was dancing before. I created a chip on my shoulder because all my friends would tell me, you're not meant for this, you're not good, like blah blah blah. And I would constantly post videos on Facebook, like I would go on. So I think through my life, it built like this thing where, like, oh, I'm trying to be big time, like I'm trying to be world class. I don't want to just be in the league. Like I really dedicate my life. My work ethic is there, and that's what I can control. So yeah, it's just like something that formed itself with all my experiences, and putting it out there. I don't know. I just know it in my head that I'm capable. I don't know. It's not even that I'm capable. It's like God just writ it down. When you know something and believe something. Sometimes I feel knowing, like just knowing. Like this is a cup. Well, for me, the fact that this is a cup, well, becoming one of the biggest and most impactful, that's the cup. That's saying like, oh, this is a cup. Like it's either I die or that dream becomes reality.
So you have this goal,
yeah,
of being one of the most impactful entertainers in the universe.
Yes.
And so in order to kind of to gauge how you're performing on that goal, does that involve you having to compare yourself to other creators? And then do you fall into that kind of that comparison trap of like, oh, they got more views on their last video than I did? Like, is that something now you're having to deal with, that you have this goal, that you're comparing yourself to see if your actions are mapping towards that goal?
In terms of comparing, sometimes I'll be like, oh, but I usually just work like every day. I'm just putting in the work, and I think the fact that I'm failing so much, because a lot of the success stories that I hear, like Michael Jordan, he literally says the reason I'm so successful is because I failed so many times, and I can relate to that. That's why the results right now don't really affect me because I remember the days where I was posting so much I'd barely get views, but then I knew that just that one moment would take me to the next level. And I'm very confident on the music that I make. I just make I'm not pressured about it, because I could very well, one day, I don't know, like pass away at like whatever age, and maybe the goal is going to be accomplished like that. Maybe it's destined to be like that. But I have a lot of faith in the universe. I have a lot of faith in God, and I can only control what I can control. And I think it's very important to also mental health, be happy, not over pressure, because that's, but yeah.
And another thing you said too a little bit earlier was that like this is going to be your goal till the day you die.
Mhm.
And like I think that's an important thing to kind of tell yourself, because it's not like I'm going to be the most impactful entertainer in the universe by the time I'm 30.
Yeah,
you know what I
exactly.
mean? And it's like having that long-term vision makes it more realistic, one, and two, kind of allows you to work through those dips, because they're going to happen no matter what. It's never just going to be a straight upwards trajectory.
Exactly.
Like you're going to have those dips, and it happens to everyone. And so knowing that like you're playing on a longer timeline will allow you to navigate those dips differently. You know what I mean?
Agree. Yeah.
And so now I kind of want to transition to probably your favorite topic. Let's talk about alt TikTok.
Okay.
So not necessarily alt TikTok specifically, but we talked about how you kind of had hate early on.
Yeah.
And so how did hate differ once you kind of like you popped,
Uh-huh.
and now you're getting hate for kind of a different reason? Like how does that impact you, and how do you navigate that versus how do you navigate it when it's just people kind of in your inner circle?
So I think one, it's making me bigger, which is cool, because like no one's gonna hate on someone like the guy that's next door not doing nothing. Nobody's gonna hate on him. And I also understand that hate is basically like a lot of people want to put you down just for them to feel better about themselves. When I was a kid, I hated on Justin Bieber because he was, at the end of the day, he was good looking, he got all the girls, and he had a nice voice. And I was hating like, oh no, I hate his music, but at the end of the day, it was because I was jealous, and I understand that. And something else is hurt people. Like people just hurt people. Like, how do you have the time to look at my video, watch it completely from one to finish, and leave a hate comment? And I think the hate honestly helped me because it put my face out there. People were duetting me a lot. People duet me a lot, saying like, "Oh, I can't believe you did it." But at the end of the day, they're just making me bigger. And I also understand like if they really knew who I was and the kind person that I am, they would not be hating like this. Like, even if you're hating me, like if I see you on the street struggling or something, I'd help you, and then they'd take that into encounter and be like, oh wow, this guy's actually nice. So it doesn't faze me. And before though, it did hit me because everything was hate, and mentally I didn't know what to do. Like, I'd wake up negativity, and it's not really the comments, but it's just the energy is what got me like down. Like I wake up and all I see is negative. I'm gonna be negative myself. I think everything is energy, and I was just depressed. I was like, yo, like every time I post, like just negative. But I went through it, and I feel like I became so much stronger now. And now I often get hate. Like, now it's like a consistent hate, but like I'm like, okay, that means I'm doing a good job because I'm just getting consistent hate. Like I'm dancing, and then just like the hate comments is like so dumb sometimes, and they're always gonna say something. So, but as long as I always say, as long as they're talking about me. Even Pitchfork made a whole article about me, and it was mad hate. Like, why is Tiagz the most hated producer or rapper on TikTok or whatever?
I think I might have read that.
Yeah, bro. And it was like, it was not even factual. It was just someone hating, like, oh, his trashy beats, blah blah blah. But I was on Pitchfork, so.
For clarification, I read that to prep for this. I wasn't like, someone's talking about hating on Tiago.
Okay,
Let me read this. As like, no, like I read that when I was like prepping. It came up when I was doing research for the interview.
Shout out to Pitchfork.
Do you respond to the hate comments as much as you used to? Because I feel like you used to always reply, but you come at it like with empathy. You know what I mean? But like, do you just kind of let them roll off now and you don't even?
Oh, bro,
engage?
I think I became worse, bro. Like, someone will comment like, oh, like you fell off or something. Then I look at their account and I'm like sometimes I'm mean, not gonna lie. Like I'll reply some mean shit. Like I'll come at them. Like how about you? Like what about you? I always, if they come to me, I sometimes just go to them and be like, okay, but what about you? Oh, like, oh, you made a song. Okay, but what? But I try not to do that anymore. You know, I shouldn't. But sometimes it's just I don't know. I don't know. But now what I do is like I'll just like it, and like sometimes I'll send the kissy emoji, like a kiss emoji or something. I don't know, because I want to engage, right? I want to engage. Like I try to engage as much as I can. And yeah, every time I get a hate, like, oh no, this is not it, I'll just send a kissy emoji or something, like a kiss. I'll kiss them on the forehead or something.
So like like kind of back to that comment where they fell off. First off, I don't think you've fallen off. I also think I Just Want to Dance is the best song you've put out so far.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
No worries. But like, is there, like we talked about pressure a little bit earlier, like there's pressure from your parents. Is there pressure now where you've put out, because you put out multiple viral, like another stratosphere level viral songs, that every song has to do that now when you put it out? Like, is there expectation when you put a song out now when it doesn't get to that crazy height that you're like disappointed? Like, do you have that now?
I never had that, because when I was going viral, I was just keep doing the same thing, like regardless if it works or not. And I did realize like people might say, oh, you had all these hits, now you fell off, blah blah blah, but they didn't see the Utah performance, they didn't see the branding. You know, just the fact that I bought like a car, for example, and then I see people hate comments. I'm like, yo, I'm enjoying my life, you know, like I'm happy, you know. So but I know that once I get that next song that's gonna blow up, all the talking is just gonna go out the window. Like Jason Derulo, great example. Oh, where's his music? Blah blah. Savage Love. Next thing you know, oh, Jason Derulo, now he's hot. You know. So I think it's always, you know, like that. And you know, it's just opinions at the end of the day. And people, I realize too, this is very important. People remember the hits. You know, no one is talking about how the Beatles had a song that didn't do well. They have songs that did not do well. Nobody's talking about that. They're just talking about the hits. And that's what I realized. If like, let's say I die right now, people are just gonna talk, yo, they call me Tiago, that was a fire song. Like, yo, my heart. Nobody's gonna talk about all the flops that I had. Nobody. And it's always like that. I learned that from Gary Vee too. Yeah.
I think Jason Derulo is another good one to study too. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. he's been in the game for a long time. You know, I think longer than people
very
really,
long
like,
time.
People forget how long he's been in the game. And like, I was listening to an interview with Alex Zhu, who's like the guy that founded Musical.ly.
Okay.
And he was talking about working with Jason Derulo with Musical.ly. Like,
like
people look at Jason Derulo as popping off on TikTok, but like he was back in 2015 working with Musical.ly on stuff. Like, he's been like, it's not like an accident that he's popped off on TikTok.
Yeah,
like, he's a smarter dude than I think people realize. So
he was on. He was judging So You Think You Can Dance. He was a judge there for a very long time. No, he knows what he's doing.
Definitely. And so you're just hot off another trip to LA, right? Like, how long have you been back for now?
I've been back, I think, second week of August.
So you've been back for about a month now.
Yeah.
So how is it different now? Because obviously when you went to LA, like, it was just like all meetings and stuff, and like you didn't have the branding or anything in place yet. Now you have the branding, you have an image, people know who you are now. What are the trips to LA like now?
Oh, LA is some movie. Like, we go there, we meet up with influencers, and it's cool because the last time we went, I started really diving in the music industry, the people from the music industry, sessions till like late night, just working sessions, meeting people at a club, partying at a club, and next thing you know, having the most important meetings from meeting a person from that club, meeting Drake's dad just walking by, like, oh, normal. It's crazy because like everybody, there's always a party every day, but when you go, it's like a networking pool. Like, everybody is doing something. So you hang out, you vibe. Next thing you know, hey, yo, come to the meeting. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I had one time, we're gonna perform at a known club, and it did not happen for whatever reason. We got out, we were pissed, like, yo, F this. Like, then we went to like another club. Then we just chilled there. It was like the end. this random guy pulls up on us. He's like, "Yo, like I worked on the touring manager for Post Malone, the Black Eyed Peas, and what are you guys doing and everything?" And I'm like, "Oh shoot, I had advice songs on TikTok and shit." And he's like, "Bro, we should connect. Yo, let's have dinner." And next thing you know, we had dinner. We talked. We really well connected really well. He talked about everything, just vibes. Just eating well, get you good food. And next thing you know, he's like, "Oh, let me put you in contact with this person. I think he can help," because I told him about a project. And next thing you know, I'm on the phone with the baby's producer talking about like, oh, next thing that I come in LA to get in a session with him. And things that's LA. So basically, that's how our trips are like. Yeah.
That's wild. It's a party every night. And like, how do you make sure, like, yes, there's the networking and everything that's happening, but how do you make sure you don't get caught up in the networking, the partying every night and not doing the work? You know what I mean?
That's a good question, because I was barely on my laptop making a song, but maybe one time, not even. But that's why I like coming back here, because when I go there, it's all about networking. I don't necessarily grow. Like, I do have cool content, but I'm not growing as much as like I'm here in terms of posting. So when I'm here working on my, like, I'm trying to promote I Just Want to Dance. I know I don't need to go to LA to promote I Just Want to Dance. I can do that from my bedroom, from my basement. And that's the difference. Like, there, networking, maybe end up with a song with a major artist on there. But then when I come here, it's the focus. So yeah, it's so different.
So when you come back, are you still with your parents? Like, you still live at home?
Yeah.
I think that's so dope. I think that's
Thank you.
I think that's the coolest thing. I think that's like, it probably keeps you humble too. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're in LA, you're living the life, and now you're back in your
Yeah.
parents' basement where you started everything.
Yeah,
and like, you're
literally.
still, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's so cool. Like, where do you have that comfort level? You know what I mean? Because like, when we talk about image, like, a lot of people, like, you've crafted your image, and I feel like when a lot of people have that image, like, they wouldn't go back to their parents' basement. You know what I mean? Like, you're comfortable doing that. It's like, where's that comfort level?
I think it's not caring what people think. Straight up. Like, like, oh, I say it to people, like, I still live in my mom's basement. I still live in my parents' basement. And something else, it does hit. Going from LA, living on your own, having a car, going, girls, whatever, and then just coming back, it does hit mentally, but then I just become stronger, and then I go to the gym. Like, now my life here is go to the gym, eat well, do the work, post on TikTok, make the song, continue, and I'm having fun with it, and results are working really well. And on the weekends, chill, lay back. And yeah, that's how kind of not really care what anybody has to say. Like, this is my image. Like, when I come back, I'm with my parents, and I feel people can relate. Not a lot of people are scared to say that, and the fact that I'm saying it, it's gonna be like, oh, Tiago still lives with his parents. That I can live with my parents too. I don't need to be in debt just to live by myself. So yeah,
that's the move, man. Like, I always tell people, like, I'm dating my girlfriend for over 5 years now. And like,
oh wow,
so
congrats.
thank you. So we moved out like 1 year in, and we just turned 20. So super young to be moving out together.
Wow, damn.
And like, I'm glad we did, like, we're still together. So everything worked out. But like, I'm also like, it might have been a good idea for us to wait an extra year and just like save up. You know what I mean? Like, there's
Gotcha.
nothing wrong with living with your parents. You know what I mean? Like, you can
There's
save
nothing
so much
wrong.
money. Like, it's
They want me there.
true, right?
Yeah.
And like, spending time with your parents too is a good thing. Like, you spend so much time with them growing up, and I think people don't realize like how many times left they get to see their parents. Like,
Yeah,
my dad
exactly.
my dad lives in Manitoba.
Oh.
Like, I see my dad twice a year.
Oh,
so I see my dad like
wow.
14 days a year. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
so I think like when you can appreciate spending time with your parents more as you get older. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like when
no, I agree.
my mom lives in Kempville, so she's a little far out.
Oh,
So I live with my grandparents in Manotick, and like, I still make
Okay.
the effort every weekend. I'm back there, even like I live there and moved out. Like, I still make the effort to go back there.
Yeah.
So I think that like people look at like living with your family as a bad thing, but you save so much money. And like, that time is fleeting, and I don't think
Yeah.
people realize that.
And
So I think-
one of the reasons too, I would still want to stay there, because I have a dog, and she's like 11. Lifespan is not too long. It's like 15, or. So that's one of the reasons, because I feel like if I were to move, it'd be LA, but I still like doing the back and forth stuff. But yeah, I feel you, man.
yeah, and like, with do you tell people in LA like that you still live with your parents back home? Like, what's the reaction?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think nobody has asked me, but nobody gives me a crazy reaction, to be honest. Like, I'll say, oh, I get asked about my chains. That I get asked, and I always tell them like, there's no way in hell that I'm spending $60,000 for a chain. There's no way in hell. And I tell them, and people ask me, are they real? I'm like, hell no. Like, and I want to say it because it's gonna, like, people have this idea. I don't know who created it. Like, oh, if it's fake, like, it's bad. But like I see T-Pain's freaking saying like a lot of these rappers, they lie about saying that their chains are real. They literally lie because people are trying to put a fake image, being like, oh, like we gotta praise, you know. But yeah, that's what's up.
With at least like there's a lot of networking going on, and I've talked to a couple of, you might know them, actually YouTubers from Ottawa. It's
Max the photographer.
no, like you know, it's your boy. He's his name's Sean. He's from Ottawa. He's got about 2.8, and I've had Just Dustin on the show in the past as well. He's a YouTuber from Ottawa. He's got like over 5 mil now.
Are they part of the
Team Elbow?
No, like are they friends with Wolfie?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
okay.
So they're in that. And they're always talking about LA, and it's like they said LA was weird vibes where it's like
Really?
where it's like people won't talk to you, and then they realize how many followers you have, and they're your best friend.
Oh yeah, that happens.
Like does that happens to you for sure?
I mean, it happens with the songs. People don't know I made the songs, and then they know, and then they're like, oh. But yeah, that is true. I guess for me, it was like, it's easy, I guess, because I haven't had that a lot, to be honest. Like every time I meet someone, we just have a good vibes, and then after, of course, they see whatever. But like I get along with someone, and he owns like, he's basically the manager of this company, and then that company has like influencers in the house, but he's not crazy like popping on social media, and I get along really well with him. Like he asked me like, hey, can I have the vocals for I Just Want to Dance to Make Something? I'm like, yeah, like take it, you know. And I'm not like, you know, just vibes, energy. But there is people that will only talk to you just because of how much you have.
Yeah, no, 100%. One thing I do want to ask you too, speaking of like not changing a ton or remaining authentic to yourself, on those trips to LA, you bring your boy Donatello with you.
Yes.
Who's here today as well.
Yes, shout out to Donatello.
And like talk to me about that decision to bring like your friend from time like on those trips with you.
Okay, so I was called to have a show, which was the High Festival that was gonna perform, and I'm like, yo, like that's dope, like, and I said like I really want to bring like, you know, a D-Rock with like Gary Vee, like someone that films all the behind the scenes and stuff. And I knew like every time we'd like meet up and he'd take like pictures of me and stuff. And one time we went snowboarding, and he took like a bunch of footage, like, and I saw it, and I'm like, yo, this guy can take footage. This guy knows how to take footage. And I'm like, yo, this is great, like perfect. And then at some point I was overthinking. I was like driving, and I was overthinking. And then I was with my ex, and I'm like telling like, yo, should I actually bring someone? Like, is it not gonna be too expensive, or should I bring someone that's already over there in LA? And then she literally told me like, yo, like that's your day one. Like you gotta don't forget that. Like you gotta remember, like, yo, like he really, you know, he's there for you and shit. And then I was like, yo, you know what? I bet. And then yeah, I brought him along, and then look, he's crying in the background. And I brought him along, and like there's so many viral videos that was thanks to this guy. There's so like me trying to kiss a parrot, or me like at the club dancing to Taylor, like this guy behind the lens. He just catches the greatest moments, and then
That's awesome. And like you've done a very good job of staying humble through this whole rise. Like I'm sure having your friend there, like a friend that was there in the beginning before any of this happened, also helps kind of keep you grounded. As everything kind of going crazy around you in LA, like to have someone there who saw those like early sessions in the basement, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When no one was listening to now, like it probably helps a lot too when kind of navigating this new world, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like but the thing is, everything that's happening around me, I still feel the same. It's crazy because I'm so like, what's the next thing? Like I'm so like, my goal is so big that these things are happening. Yes, I'm super grateful about it, you know, people approaching, but it's like I manifested in my mind so much that, oh, like people are approaching, okay, I'm in the good path. Like I'm not thinking like, oh wow, like I'm top shit. No, like I'm in a good path to get to where I want to, or where I'm trying to get. And that's what keeps me, I think, humble, because like I don't know, a lot of people tell me like, yo, you're so humble, but I'm like, I'm just myself, like I'm just me, you know, like it doesn't change that, I think that's the reason, because my goal is so big that I'm just aiming for the goal. It's not about what I have now, which I am grateful, but that's what keeps me going.
It shows that the value of thinking big. You know what I mean? Like people look
Yeah.
at you, people that don't think big, like you're like, yo, that's huge. And you're
Yeah,
like,
but
I gotta
me,
go all the way up here, man. I'm not
Yeah.
even close. Like
Exactly.
that's
That's
cool.
I think what one of the reasons that keeps me grounded. But of course, I'll have moments where like I'll like be wearing crazy stuff. I'll have the car, and there's some moments where I'm like, okay, I'm balling or some shit, but not like if someone talks to me, like I'm gonna talk to you the same way. Like there's not gonna be like, oh no, you can't talk. Oh, you're not verified. Oh no, like no.
And like what happened in those moments where you're like, yeah, I'm fucking balling right now. Like that's natural. You're a human, right? Like it's
Yeah.
gonna happen. Where it's like where you literally used to ride your bike to work and sing your lyrics, and like now you can listen to your music on the radio in the car. You know what I mean? Like of course it's gonna happen. But like, no, I think that's really cool. It's always there's so many like cool full circle moments for you. Where it's like where you were versus where you are now, and like just seeing everything come. I think that's really cool. And like with LA now, so like you said, it's nice to get home and like to kind of get away from LA and like it allows you to focus. So is the goal to get out to LA full time at some point? Do you kind of like the ability to be there when you need to be there, but kind of unplug?
I like the back and forth, because here, like I said before, I like work ethic wise, like I'm very on point, working out, doing my thing. Over there, it's networking, but sometimes I can get a little bit distracted, of course. But no, like.
And so before we kind of wrap up here, because we're over time, so I appreciate you, like I said.
Of course.
Gotta talk about Hive Festival. We can't not talk about Hive
Festival.
I think you only performed for like 20 people one time before.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That was it.
It's like I feel like a lot of artists, like you hear Jack Harlow on his album says like 8 deep. Fans were eight deep at the show. Like there's only 8 people, and like there's that progression from like 8 people to 100 people, and now 1,000. You went straight from 20 people one time to a festival.
Yeah.
Like how do you even how do you make that transition? Like how do you prepare for something like that when you've never, like you did World of Dance and stuff, but like it's got to be a whole different ball game to sing, right? It's like how do you prepare for that?
Honestly, I had like a week of, maybe like 4 days of rehearsal, but when I got on stage, it was so different. Like I don't know, because I got on stage and then people were just looking at me, and I'm like, damn. And honestly, in terms of preparation, I don't think I was really, like I was prepared. I knew the sets. I had the things telling me what song is next. But in terms of getting the crowd hype, when I came first, crowd was dead. First song, crowd was dead. Second song, crowd was dead. Third song, crowd was dead. Fourth, fifth, and the other, that's when it started to go hype. And I quickly learned, like, oh, a lot of these like rappers just come in, they don't even sing the song. Like 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then just scream, and then just like let's go, and then people wow, and and then I don't know. I feel that I gave something different with the dance too. Like I also dance, I backflip, and people were telling me, "Yo, your set was crazy," and I'm like, "Whoa, that's really cool." And that was my experience.
When songs 1, 2, and 3 are when the crowd's kind of flat, how do you stay composed? You know what I mean? When you're like, how are you not like in your own head, like, holy shit, like it's not working? Like, how do you stay composed?
In my head, as soon as I saw that, I told myself, I'm just gonna do what I gotta do and get out. That's it. Like, I'm here, and it kind of comes back to like getting rejected at the mall. I was like, whatever, it doesn't hit as hard. Those days, honestly, like, I'll always talk about them because they really formed me. Like, rejection doesn't hit as much, and that's what I was feeling. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just do my thing and then get out. Yeah.
And like what I like kind of similar to this, what I always tell myself in those moments is like, it'll just make the autobiography about my life written in 30 years a lot cooler if like I had to struggle first. You know what I mean? Like people like those stories better,
True. It's true. The fact that Disney, they told him that he was not creative, that's huge for everybody in the world. That's huge. That's like so inspiring. So yeah, that's why failure is actually, I always say failure is a good thing, because it really, failure and getting back up, of course. So yeah.
So more festivals coming up. Like, what's the schedule look like now for performing? Is there going to be a tour? Like, what do you?
In terms of touring, to be honest, my my team is more in charge of all of that, and they just don't know if people are gonna show up. That's the thing. So I don't even know. For me, I at least try, of course. But I do have a festival in May in the UK, which is gonna be
Brighton?
cool. Pardon?
Is it Brighton? Where's
Brighton. That one. Yeah, it didn't happen last year because of COVID, but it's gonna happen this year. And that's about it from what I know. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
okay? So like now that you've tasted the performing a little bit, like what's your favorite part of the whole process?
Of performing?
Of just like music in general? Is it like writing? Is it the beats? Is it like the performing? What's your favorite part, if you have one?
They're all so different. It's hard to choose. Yeah, it's hard to choose. But I really like performing because I can bring the dance out too. So it's like one in everything, jack of all trade type of thing. And everything is so. I feel like everything complements each other too. So I don't know. It depends. Maybe some days I feel like performing. Some days I feel like dancing. Some days I feel like making a beat. Some days I feel it's like, yeah.
Is there ever going to be a point in time when you Naruto run on stage?
Naruto run?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No,
No. Never. Probably not.
Just had to ask.
Maybe like, I don't know. No. Maybe. Why not? Maybe, honestly, running through like the people and stuff could be. But I always try to make a backflip for sure.
100%. And people go wild for backflips.
Yeah, all the time.
There's one thing I really want to make sure I asked you about before we jump off.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how much of an influence your mom was on you, because from my understanding, she was an artist as well.
Yeah. So, funny story, my dad was actually a drummer and he like performed and stuff. And my mom, yeah, she's an artist. She did ballet, she did dance. She's now doing painting. She's doing dance as well. So I feel like both of them kind of gave me an influence like that. In terms of entrepreneurship and marketing, though, like none of them do that. I don't know where it came from. I think from Gary, from him just talking, and putting that positive energy. But yeah, that's about it.
You've talked about a lot of cool full circle moments that have happened to you on this podcast. The one I'm looking forward to that hasn't happened yet, but I know that will, is when Michael McCrudden does a Before They Were Famous about you, and then you can point back to him shouting you out as a comment, and that'll just be a really cool moment. 100%.
Yeah, I messaged him, he didn't reply.
No. How often, I mean, like other than today, because we've done a lot of looking back, but like how often do you look back at the whole journey? You know what I mean? Back to that day where you're sitting in the basement with holding the microphone, to now where you're in LA, you're working with like, you're assigned to a label, you're putting music, you've played a festival to a packed crowd. Like how often do you look back on that whole journey?
Some days I'll randomly scroll and then I'll just end up scrolling all the way down or look at the videos and I'm like, damn, that's crazy. I'm like, whoa. It's crazy how I had the mental strength to keep going regardless. And it's crazy how from a phone everything can happen.
Anything can happen.
It's crazy.
But like definitely the mental fortitude you showed is crazy. And even it's like funny to like watch you now, like when you're like, man, I forgot I did that. You know what I mean? Like just all these little things you did.
And I do often forget like the LA trips. Like I'm so in the moment that I forget. Like sometimes I'll forget that, oh, like I met this influencer or like I performed, like I know the experience are still in my head, but that's why like I'm so in the moment that I'm just living, Yeah.
For my last question, I like to flip the script a little bit. So instead of me asking the question, it's you ask the question, but it's not to me. So pretend
to the audience?
No. Pretend you have a crystal ball. You can ask this crystal ball any question. You'll get the 100% honest answer. What is one question you want to know the answer to?
About anything?
Anything.
What happens after we die? No, wait. I don't know. Because then if I know, like, what if I just, like, off myself right now, So, that's a good question. What was the purpose of actually us being on this planet? Like, the first humans that came up? Yeah. I don't want to know that. Or, yeah, probably that. Like, woman, man, just there, just, okay, do this, Like, who created us, Like, I don't know. Yeah, those type of things, like.
Deep questions.
like space, galaxy, if there's something out, those types of stuff. Yeah.
Man, I want to thank you so much for
No,
taking
thank you, bro.
taking
Thank
the time
you.
to be on the podcast. It's been a long time coming. So I'm glad we finally,
Fine.
you know,
Yes.
long time
Yes.
coming. Like not just months. I'm talking like back to 2017. Like this has been due for
Yeah.
a very long time. So I'm
Yeah.
really happy we got to finally make it happen. And so thank you to you for your time.
No, of course. Thank you.
Thank you to these two lovely individuals behind me who have
Yes.
sat here through this entire thing, just being patient the whole time.
Yes,
So,
yes. I'm about to engineer their session tonight. So yeah, I'm gonna record them and shit. So.
that's awesome. When we take breaks, they're saying how like we're working on a song the whole time
Oh,
as we're
yeah,
sitting
yeah,
here.
yeah.
So that's awesome. But I want to give you the floor, man. Where can the people find you? Plug anything and everything you got right now.
Spotify, Tiagz, Tiagz. Instagram, I am Tiagz, Tiagz. And that's TikTok, I am Tiagz. And that's it.
That's it. Awesome. Well, I'll make sure everything's linked in the show notes down below so people
Appreciate
can find it. I want to thank you once again, man, for taking time to come on the podcast. I want to thank everyone for listening, whether you've listened the entire way through or you only listen to bits and pieces. I really appreciate you taking time to check this out. Everyone do me a big favor. Go and stream Tiagz's music. Like I said, I Just Want to Dance. I think it's the best song.
I Just Want to Dance.
Today.
Check out I Just Want to Dance. That, yes.
Definitely go and stream I Just Want to Dance. Like I said, everything will be linked in the show notes down below so you can find it. If you like to follow me, you can find me everywhere on social media at the Jacob Kelly. Feel free to come and say hello. My DMs are always open. As always, today's podcast is powered by TRUFAN. Thank you once again for listening, everybody. We'll talk soon.
Tiax!